Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome you to the Lighthouse Project. Wonderful seeing some regulars and some new faces in the classroom. And I'd like to give an honorable mention to our sponsors. We have the nightly co-sponsors, Anonymous doing this in memory of Sharone ben Baris, Zichrono Livracha, and Anonymous doing in memory of Moshe ben Gilsum, Zichrono Livracha, and in thanks to Gedalia. These classes and all the Torah learning that we're doing in the Lighthouse tonight is also for the Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel ben Sa'abati and Devorah Figa bat Reza. We also have our own sponsors in this particular class. We have our Issachar and Zevulun sponsorship. We have H&M Builders doing this in memory of their grandfather in honor of the Dornbush family. Be'ezrat Hashem, that the Dornbush family have a lot of hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedehem. Also, to the hatzlacha of the new baby girl of the daughter of Sheina bat Dina. Be'ezrat Hashem, that she grows up to be a tzaddiket, and that her parents and her grandparents and their entire family merit to see her in Torah mitzvot ma'asim tovim and under her chuppah. Also, we have Esther Stacy Bouton doing this in honor of her sons Yonatan, Michael, Eliyahu, and Shalom ben Esther. Be'ezrat Hashem, that our good friend Esther Bouton also have bracha v'atzlacha in all her Maaseh Yadaha, and that she also have a big spiritual uplifting experience in this class for her and her children, and bracha v'atzlacha. We also have Anonymous doing this in merit that his grandmother Chana Batoran should have a speedy and full recovery. Her kidneys should function well and fully, as well as her heart and lungs. Be'ezrat Hashem, be a big refuah shelema, as well as to Einav bat Chava and Simcha bat Shula. The last one, good friend of mine from Colorado, Guy Mordechai, doing this for the easy labor and pregnancy of Maya bat Ruti, and for all our brave soldiers who put their lives on the line to protect Am Yisrael and our Holy Land. And I just want to say, he didn't know what this class was going to be about, but he's completely mekaven on it. Let's get started. This week's class is a continuation of our spiritual and character refinement. We did a series for about 5 or 6 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot, and we're talking about how we can refine our midot, refine our character trait in order to become a better vessel to receive the Torah at the end of Shavuot. And the work of the Omer is you work on all your character traits between Adam lechavero, between man and man, and eventually you get to the point where you can work on yourself between man and God, ben Adam lamakom. And we had a beautiful class up until Shavuot, and most of those classes dealt with one thing: midot of ben Adam lechavero. We gave very little mention to Ben Adam Lamakom, because the truth is, in order to understand God, you have to understand another human being. And we came to the final conclusion that in order to really experience God, really to get to know God, and to really have a fruitful 49-day Omer period, you have to know the importance of a lev tov, of a good heart. And we stressed out the importance of having the proper relationship and proper interactions ben Adam lechavero. And after this 49-day boot camp of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha concept, we graduate on the 50th day to Shavuot. Shavuot, the day when we are a unified nation. Very, very unique day in history. We're one nation, one heart. We're united in faith, and we're united as one. And we become the Na'aseh v'nishma Jew, the best kind of Jew. Na'aseh v'nishma, I will do, later on tell me the reason. That's the original Jewish formula, not like today. And we see that this possibly the best day in Jewish history, the day when the Jewish people are unified, are one heart, one nation, and Hashem giving them the greatest gift of all, the Torah. What a day, if you could just imagine it. When again were we able to duplicate this day? When? It says over there that the Jewish nation stood of Har Sinai, Am Echad, Lev Echad. One nation with one heart. And we learned that from the Pasuk. It says, Vayichan Israel. What's Vayichan? Meaning that the nation of Israel stationed itself. However, the word Vayichan is singular. It should have been Vayichnu. Vayichnu is plural. You have 1,000,000 people underneath the mountain. Vayichnu Am Israel. What's Vayichan Israel? To show us they were singular, they were one. They were one in heart. And displaying such achdut, we were a prime example of the Torah and its content. We were actually worthy of that holy book that day. As a matter of fact, the Torah, the book of success, the Bible, which stands for basic instructions before leaving earth, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and gave it to us, it had a key, a master key, and it consists of 2 letters. And the 2 letters are the first letter of the Chumash and the last letter of the Chumash. The first letter is Bet of Bereshit. The Chumash ends, the Torah ends with the word Israel. The last letter is Lamed. Lamed and Bet is the word Lev. You want to know the key that unlocks this whole book? Lev, it's the heart. When the heart starts to pump, when the heart starts to feel, when you start to feel the Torah, then you're performing the Torah. When you're just holding a book, it's just pages, it's just words, it's just ink on a piece of paper. But when you're activating the Lev, the master key, then you're really performing the Torah. And on that special day, where the pshat, the simple storyline, is that the Jewish people are all unified underneath the mountain, and we have God giving us the Torah, the Aseret HaDibrot, and it's Shavuot. Behind the scenes, there was a whole different story. There was a fight in the heavens. A fight between humans and angels. As a matter of fact, there was a fight between one human and angels. And it was Moshe Rabbeinu. As Moshe Rabbeinu was sent to the heavens to bring down the Torah, he has opposition. Fire-breathing angels coming and practically wanting to attack him. All standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God, what are you giving away the Torah to human beings? 974 generations we've been holding this Torah here in the heavens, and now you want to give it to humans? You already see their track record. Not a good track record up until now, by the way. Adam and Chava, Noach, Dor HaMabul, Dor HaPalaga, Mitzrayim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives advice to Moshe Rabbeinu. He tells him, hold on to my chair and give him an answer. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu does. Moshe Rabbeinu holds on to God's chair, holy throne, and he answers the angels. And he tells them, this Torah that you want to stay here in the heavens, it says, honor your mother and your father. You have parents? It says you have to eat kosher. Do you eat? It says you have to be honest in business. Do you own a store? Everything that's in the Torah you can't perform. The Torah belongs to us, to the Jewish people. And he was able to grab the Torah and bring it down. It's a great story. But what's with Moshe Rabbeinu holding on to God's chair? What was that about?
Protection.
What else? So you should know that all the Jewish souls come from one place. It comes from the bottom of God's throne. Our neshamot come from that place. So think about it. There's a throne. Again, just imagine it. This is like on a pshat level. We really don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. I'm just repeating what I read. It's a throne. And our neshamot come from the bottom of the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, hold on to my chair. You know why? Because now he's holding on to the whole Jewish nation. They're all behind him. They're all unified. He says, hold on to them. And because you are one and you're holding on to the Jewish people, you'll be able to win. Even fire-breathing angels. Right there and then in the Shamayim, God is giving us the secret that if you want to be successful in life, if you want to be successful as a nation, if you want to be able to take the Torah from the heavens and live it on the earth, you need to be united as one. Hold on to my chair. That's how you'll succeed. And you should know that the success of the Jewish nation hinges on one thing. Unity. The success of the Jewish people hinges on one thing only. When we are united, we win. When we're divided, we lose. Simple formula. Achdut is the secret to the Jewish nation. Now more than ever, we must live this truth. It sounds like a cliche. We have to be united. But that is what we need now. It sounds cliche, but it's our only hope. It's our only hope. If you just stop right now and you just think, how are we as a Jewish nation? Well, you got the secular Jews, you got the religious Jews, you got the ultra-religious Jews, you got the Jews that don't even care about religion. Okay, that's one sect. At least they're interacting with religion and God. And then there's the people that are, don't even have God in their life. They're just having a goyish life. And they're about politics, and they're patriotic, they're not patriotic, they're for the land, they're not for the land, for the Arabs, not for the Arabs. How divided are we on so many different levels? How are we going to win? If we want to succeed, we have to be united. But as long as we're divided, we have no chance. As a matter of fact, I've said this many times before. I once saw a video on Rav Amnon Yitzchak. He one time showed a video of an imam, a cleric, that was sitting in front of 10,000 Muslims on that little monotone megaphone, the one that has no bass, that just, that little megaphone that is in their mosques. And he gets up on I think their Friday afternoon sermon, and he says, when the Jews are united, do not touch them. The Jewish God will protect them. When they are united, we will never be able to harm them. But when they're divided, attack, attack, attack. They know it. The Arabs know it. That's why they support division in Israel. Politically, religiously, they know. Divided, we lose. So if you just think about it, we just think of the people that but it's impossible. We should just throw in the towel. How are we going to be united? Just the people that I know, we could never be united. It's a pie in the sky dream. It's a pipe dream. It's wishful thinking. What are you smoking, dude? Jews will never unite, even the ones that I know. How do you expect the entire nation from all corners of the world? And this is not new. You put two Jews in a room, there's three opinions. Even from the times of the Tanaic sages, of the schools of thought of Hillel and Shammai, they were always going at it. This is nothing new. Even the Talmud says, what does the Talmud says? It says, just as their faces are not alike, so their opinions are not alike. Just like the Jewish faces are all different, so are their opinions. In other words, everyone has their opinion. How are you going to get all these Jews to unite? When I think about it, when I think as a Jew living in the United States, and I'm thinking about unity, I say to myself, the U.S. actually has it figured out. On their money, in God we trust. Wow, that's a Jewish concept. I trust in God. What's their pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, right? Right after that part, they have the most magical combination of words. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wow, magic. But that's a Jewish concept. How are the Goyim promoting that and we're shying away from that?
The Jews created the money.
I don't know if Jews created the money, but just the fact that the country is running on that motto is honorable. In order to understand the state of the Jewish nation at 5,778 or 2018, you must know that since that magical moment that we just spoke about, the time of Matan Torah, when God gave us the Torah, it was given to us on Har Sinai. And the rabbis tell us that when the Torah came down from that mountain, so did the hatred. Why? Because Har Sinai is the same word as Sin'ah. Sin'ah came down to the world on Har Sinai. The world is envious of the Jew because he has the Torah. That's what happened on that day. Now, you might say, well, it's not fair. How come we're the chosen ones? Maybe Hashem should have went and asked them if they want to become Jews, if they want to accept the Torah. And the answer is, He did. Before God came to the Jewish people, He went to Esav. And He said, Esav, I got the Torah over here. I'm asking to see if you want to take it as a way of life. He says, what does it say over there? It says it doesn't kill. Don't kill. My father blessed me to be a professional killer. You want me to give up on my father's blessing? No, thank you. He goes on and he goes to Midbar Paran. Over there he finds Ishmael. He tells Ishmael, I got the Torah here. It's a great item. You want to take it as a way of life? He says, what does it say over there? It says you can't steal. Can't steal? We're the ones that stole Yosef and put him in the pit and sold him. We're robbers. We're thieves. I can't, it's not for me. And later on he went to every single angel of every single nation and asked them, they all turned it down. And when he came down to the Jewish people and he told them, I have the Torah. Do you want the Torah as a lifestyle? You know what they said? Na'aseh v'nishma. Let's do it. Later to explain to me what it's all about. They had their chance. They had their chance. We were the last ones to get asked. And ever since that this hatred came down to the world and the 70 nations in it are envious that God chose this little family that perpetrated from Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and about 210 years in Egypt to the nation that they are in the desert, the less than 1% nation of the world, to be the chosen nation. Imagine, compare the Jews to the rest of the world, we're less than 1%. Less than 1%. You know, this sin'ah that is constantly recycling itself throughout the ages, we've seen it. the pogroms, the Holocaust, the blood libels. Every single generation. V'chol dor v'dor kamim alenu lechalotenu. And what happens? V'kadosh baruch hu matzilenu miyadam. Every generation is going to be one guy that gets up, the Jews got to go. And Hashem comes and saves us from them. So we see that right now there is a rise in anti-Semitism. We see that the 70 nations are against us. We see it, we feel it. Why? Why? Because of the Torah. They don't even know it, but their soul knows that the reason why they hate the Jew is because of the Torah. It can't be explained. They don't even know. We are right now in the time of Ikveta de Meshicha, the heels of the Messiah. In other words, the last few years before the Mashiach is coming. Yaakov Avinu wanted to predict. He knew, but he wanted to share with us what will be at the end of times. The pasuk says, "Vayikra Yaakov el banav vayomer." This is the time when Yaakov Avinu was on his deathbed, and he wanted to speak to his children, the 12 tribes. And Yaakov calls on his children, vayomer, and he tells them, "He'asefu v'agid alachem et asher yikra etchem b'achrit hayamim." Come, gather, that I may tell you what is to befall you in the days to come. So he wanted to reveal what would happen and the date and the time. But it escaped him. Ruach HaKodesh made him to forget it. But inside that pasuk is a secret. It says, Vayikra Yaakov el banav vayomer. When Yaakov called his children, he said, what did he say? He'asefu. Gather. What's gather? Unite. That's what you need to do at the end of the days. Unite. He told us. Thousands of years ago, Yaakov Avinu gave us the advice for today. Imagine a dying father's advice. You could imagine. It's his last few minutes. What does he want to say? What does he want to share? What's his last words? What are the calculated words he wanted us to hear before he expires? Gather, unite. Shema Yisrael is the second part of it, Chazak. So here we are at the end of times, and you should know that. We are at the end of times. A very unique generation. Could you imagine living in a different generation? 200 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. If I look back on it, I would have really loved to be during Yetziat Mitzrayim. That looks like a really cool time. Maybe also in the time of Bet HaMikdash, David HaMelech, stuff like that. Later on, all the Torah learning, those were like small little homes, small little buildings with like a bunch of rabbis talking. But like really to feel a Jew in his prime, it's David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, Moshe Rabbeinu, or maybe being around the times of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, I would say that. But all the other times, it's been pretty difficult. But imagine, we're like the last generation before Mashiach. I'm not going to predict. I don't know if it's today. Mashiach is here. But let's just say, today, tomorrow, a week from now, a year from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. This is it. This is it. How long is a generation? 10 years? 50 years? What do they consider a generation?
100 years.
No, generations typically.
It was like 25. Yeah.
We're in the last generation. So we're special because we're going to see more than what they saw in Yetziat Mitzrayim.
We have way more harder problems.
We do.
So
we do. But the fact that we have such bigger obstacles than any other generation before. Nobody had to deal with an iPhone. Nobody had to deal with Hollywood. Nobody had to deal with the internet. Nobody had to deal with all these naked women walking around and this filthy language and this chutzpah and all that. Nobody had to deal with it. Such different times, even 50 years ago. But if you're able to hold on during this time, your sachar is bigger than the rabbi that was shtagging away at 2,000 years ago, day and night in a shtibel. Hashem calculates It's a very big calculation, and He wants us to win. He doesn't want. Hashem is not that old man with a long beard with his finger down. I'm going to get you. He's not that. He's a loving Father. He wants us to. He wants us to win.
There were a lot of special tzaddikim that actually asked they don't want to be before the generation because it was going to be so hard.
So here's the deal with end of days. I'll go off on a tangent just to give you an example of what's going on in the end of days. In the end of days, it's going to be crazy. There's prophecies that predict what it's going to be. And the prophecies predict war, crazy war, World War III with the most incredible amount of artillery, the most advanced technology. I mean, people know how to destroy each other really fast, really quick, and really big nowadays. And that's the type of war it's going to be. And it's going to be a lot of death. Just like only 20% of the Jews made it out of Egypt and 80% of them died during Makat HaChoshech, similarly is going to be during the time of Mashiach. Only 20% are going to make it. What side are you going to be on? 20 or 80? Are you going to be on the side that makes it or on the 80% that doesn't make it? What's the difference? How do you get into that club that makes it? Easy. One, you have to believe that Mashiach is coming. You got to be part of that Mashiach club. That's number one. Number two, you have to do teshuvah. What's teshuvah? It doesn't matter where you were up until this moment. You know that Hashem is the one. You know that the Torah is the way of life. And you know that that's it. There's no other truth. It's either you're on or you're off. And you take your chances. If you're on, you get to merit to be part of the Geulah. If you're off, part of that 80%. Now what happens when this entire war is going on around you? So what do they say? They say you're going to walk down the street and you're going to see people dropping to the left, dropping to the right of you, death, blood, gore, screaming. And you're going to have like a little protective bubble that's going to make you protected. Am Yisrael is going to have the skin of the Livyatan over the entire country. Bullets are going to be bouncing off. Read the Midrashim, read the Zohar. It's all there. The miracles that were in the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim are not even going to compare to the miracles that are going to happen in the time of Mashiach. If you don't have emunah, it's hard to swallow what I'm saying. If you have emunah in God, then you understand that it's possible. Otherwise, it becomes questionable. But that's just to touch on this particular subject. Now, this time of Mashiach, there's two ways that it can come: vahishena or beito. What's vahishena or beito? Mashiach can come two different ways. Beito mean at its proper time. There's a day, there's a time, there's a minute, there's a second when Mashiach is coming. It's already been set. That's beito. Vahishena means that He comes in a different time, and it's connected to our actions. It's connected to the Jewish people doing teshuvah, getting on the right path, and tilting the scale of the dark side and what they call that in basically tipping the scales between chesed and din. And we want to tip the sides of chesed, of goodness, of kindness that's going to bring it. So what? So more Jews can be part of the Geulah. What are we doing over here? We're just trying to bring more people closer to the concept so they can be part of the Geulah. Imagine, I always say, imagine Mashiach is here. And you see, he's in, you're in. Wow, amazing. I'm part of the Geulah. I made it. You look back, there's your cousin. There's your best friend. And Mashiach is holding that red rope. You're in, you're not in, you're in, you're not in. You're like, wait, that's my cousin. He's not in. How bad are you going to feel when it's a family member, when it's a neighbor, when it's a friend, when it's a best friend? How bad are you going to feel when on the other side it's that 80% that didn't make it and you know those people? That's why you want to be part of the Geulah and also bring more people with you. The Geulah starts with you, and then later on the people that are around you. Don't fix the world. Fix yourself. After you fix yourself, fix the people that are around you, like your family.
Nobody wants fixing.
Well, we are the handyman of the world. Did you hear Jew? Every time the Jew is here for what? For his tikkun. Tikkun, what's broken? What broke that we came here to fix? Every single thing that has to do with Judaism is tikkun. The world is broken. Hashem sent one handyman to fix it. Who? The Jew. We're here to do the brachot on the food and to pray and to be spiritual. That's the tikkun. Other people don't have this job. Vivdalti otchem min ha'amim, kodesh lechol. We are kodesh. We have a different game plan, a different set of rules. And then they're chol. They're supposed to be that way. All the goyim are supposed to be that way. They're living their life the right way. But when we live like them, that's what's wrong. We are kodesh. That's a difference. When you're kodesh, you have a different set of guidelines that you're supposed to follow. And when you become kodesh, everything is perfect. When you don't have kodesh and you're not mimicking a life that doesn't belong to you, you're like this carbon copy of somebody that you're not. You're just mimicking somebody you saw in a movie or on TV or on the internet. You're not being you. A Jew living through his Jewish soul and living out a Torah life, that's who you are. And if you're not living that, then you're lost. It's very simple. It's very simple. And if you're 50-50, you're in between, Baruch Hashem, at least 50% you're in. Now you just got to drag the other 50 to the other side. Now, like we said, during the end of times, there's two ways that it can come. V'achishena or be'ito. The rabbis tell us that at the end of time, 70 nations are going to go against Israel. And only unity between the Jewish people can reverse the dire outcome that the prophets predicted. So it's up to you if you want to ignore the prophecies of the prophets. But if you ever want to see something very interesting, open up Sefer Yechezkel, and you can see over there, it's like you're reading a newspaper. Open it up, a book that was written thousands and thousands of years ago, you think you're just reading the New York Times. For example, it says 70 nations will go against Israel. Wasn't that last week? Didn't the UN, all of the UN, condemn the Jews for protecting themselves from terrorists at the border? It says 70 nations in the UN condemn Israel. They use the word 7, the number 70. That's a prophecy that just came true last week. 70 nations. Is there any other place in the world that describes or that can project how 70 nations feel? You don't have to go and take a census of each country. They all gather in one place and say, we all are against Israel, 70 nations. That's a prophecy last week. You know, this World War III that's called in the Tanakh, the Gog and Magog, it usually starts with things behind the scenes, like political issues. Like Kim Jong-un with like a little missile that he has a problem. Russia that has it's got a hand in everything. Russia stands for Rasha, wicked. Don't say Russia, say Rasha. All this anti-Semitism that's on the rise, and the rise of Ishmael. The rise of Ishmael. The rabbis told us that in the end of times, Ishmael is going to be on the rise. Not just terrorizing Israel, but terrorizing the entire world. What happened? What happened for the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? What's in their breakfast? What's in their cereal? How come they just want to die? How come they just want to kill? Whether it's in France, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in Brussels, how come they just want to die? What is it? What happened to them? What changed? What changed? The Geulah is coming. That's what changed. The rabbis tell us that at the end of time, there's going to be a war. It's going to be about Israel, but it's not about Israel. The war is going to be between Ishmael and Esav, the Arabs and the Christians. Now, it's going to be Christianity versus Islam. It's not going to be country versus country. It's not the United States versus Saudi Arabia. That's never going to happen. It's not going to be Egypt versus France. It's not going to be countries. It's going to be ideology versus ideology. It's going to be religion versus religion. And we see that now. We see that now. Unfortunately, we could always say, oh, there's always good Arabs, and there's always good Christians, and there's always good Jews, there's always good people. Yes. But what does the news like to show us? The worst of the people in the world. That's how they sell commercial time. When people tune in to see evil. And now, when we see that, what's on display? What's on display? You turn on the news, what's on display? Arabs wilding out. Why? Because it's the end of times. And at the end of time, it's going to be the Arabs instigating. And then the big, mighty Esav is going to say, no more! And war. War everywhere. What kind? I don't know. You look like an Arab, you look like a Christian, let's fight. It's not going to be about countries anymore. Now, the prophecy continues to say that the war is going to be over what? Yerushalayim. A little dot on the planet. It's a neighborhood in Florida. A little dot on the planet. The whole world is going to fight over it. That's the prophecy. Okay, so let's turn on the news. What was in the news 2 weeks ago and last week? What happened? So Trump decided to open up an embassy in Yerushalayim. The whole world went nuts for it. First of all, Jerusalem has been the capital for 70 years. What happened now? One American says now that I want to open up an office over there. That's it? They're going nuts? It's unbelievable. The whole world is up in arms because somebody opened up an office in Yerushalayim. But you should understand that this opening up of an embassy in Yerushalayim, it's the beginning of a prophecy. The beginning of a prophecy that says that Esav is going to instigate Ishmael. That's how the war is going to be. By the way, you want to know how the war ends? Ishmael wins. Let's cut to the chase. The Arabs win. The Arabs win. It's tough to understand. It's tough to... It says Iran is going to win.
How do we fit into the picture?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you. We'll get to it. It's an interesting story, isn't it? We're living it. But Esav, you do. Esav is going to instigate the beginning of the war. And what is it? The opening of the embassy. You see how it sparked the hatred and the rage. Iran even was able to send 20 rockets into Israel. It's testing out the waters. And just turn on the news. Look at all the hatred that's in the world. Now, believe me, this is not the type of classes that I give. I don't talk about politics. Most of the classes are more Torah-based. But you have to understand, this class is about unity. It's about unity. Aren't you scared right now of that time? Right? How do I save myself out of it? Unite! Love another Jew. Care for another Jew. That's all you have to do. That's it. It's so simple. You could stand there in the middle of the war and say to Hashem, Hashem, I love every Jew and I showed you. I care for every Jew and I showed you. I want to be saved. Because we know that unity is what saves the Jewish people. You could stand there. You have to have faith. You have to believe. You have to be connected to God. Now, just like the Erev Rav is the mixed multitude that tripped up the Jewish people in the desert, that as soon as Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Luchot HaBrit, they were right there with the golden calf. And this small amount of people ruined it for the Jewish people. And we get into this whole process of Moshe Rabbeinu praying for us and asking for forgiveness back and forth in a second set of Luchot. Ironically, we have Erev Rav right now also. Right now we have mixed multitude living within us. Whether it's in our communities, in Israel, it's very obvious that they're in the Knesset, that they are completely against the Jewish nation, against our soldiers, and are taking office to protect Arabs that terrorize the Jews. So how do we avoid this fate? How do we secure ourselves and our families from this tragic event? Well, we just said it before. Unity. Now, unity, how do you know when it's time to amp up your unity? When it's time to okay, you know what? It was a great lesson last Wednesday. When am I going to start living it? How do you know that it's time to really turn up unity within the Jewish nation? It said in Ikvita de Meshicha that Chevle Mashiach are like a pregnant lady. He says, how do you know when Mashiach is coming? He says the earth is going to start to behave like a pregnant woman. A pregnant woman, right before she gives birth, she gets contractions, right? And how do the contractions start? It's like once an hour. She needs to hold on to something. After a half hour, they come, it's like every 30 minutes. Then every 15, then every 10, and every 5 minutes, take me to, every 5 minutes she's in pain. That's what's going to happen in the world. It's right now we have these tragedies, they're far and far between. Once every 3 months there's something major, 500 people die, 4,000 people get blown up, okay, whatever. Later on you're going to see every week, every 3 days there's some huge tragedy. Every 2 days, everyone, the world is you turn on the news, all you're going to see is explosions on the screen. When the world starts to get contractions of terrorism, of wars, Mashiach is coming, it's getting closer, just like a pregnant woman. What we want to do though, is we want to avoid the scary stuff. I'm stressed out just talking about it. To be honest with you. I'm super tranquilo. I don't know where this all this craziness is coming from, but that's what it is. But what can we rely on? What can we rely on? Release me. Where's the loving God? Okay, go to Amidah. Every day we say this. I'm going to open up your eyes to it that you can see what we say every day. In the first beracha of Amidah, what do we say? השם שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך, אני עושה ברוך אתה השם, אלוקים מלך העולם, אלוהינו ולאבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק וליעקב, האל הגדול הגיבור ונורא, האל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, קונע הקרוב וזוכר חסדי אבות. Let's finish all that because that's not all relevant to what we're learning today. The last sentence in the first paragraph of the Amidah says, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. The literal translation is that he brings a redeemer to the children of his children, to bnei bneihem, leman shemo, for his name's sake, with love. What does that mean, that he brings a redeemer to his children's children for his name's sake with love? So, first of all, you should see umevi, the word mevi, and right after it is goel. You have to understand there's hidden secrets in everything. Mevi Goel. When is the Goel going to come? When is the Mashiach coming? You have to go through Mevi. What's Mevi? Mevi is Mitzrayim, Bavel, Yavan, Edom. Those are the 4 Galuyot. Do those 4 Galuyot. After those 4 Galuyot, the Goel is coming. That's number 1. Number 2, Livne Venehem, to the sons of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. You better be from that strand. You better be a Jew. You better come from Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, or convert and be part of that club. Of course, there's going to be righteous Gentiles that get saved too, by the way. Leman Shemo, for his name's sake. He says, why is Hashem going to bring us a Mashiach? For his name's sake. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a father. And he's a honorable man. He's respected in the community. He's very well known. He has a good name in the world. And he has a brat child. He has a child that's a troublemaker. And he hasn't really lived up to the family's name. What does that father do? Does he get rid of his son? Does he just say, get out of here, you don't live up to to the family name? A good father, what does he do? He covers for him. When he gets into trouble, he doesn't know, I'll take care of it, we'll teach him, come, Leman Shemo. In other words, what does he keep protecting, why is he bringing the Mashiach? In order to protect his name. Why? Because let's just say the Jews, We didn't do a good job. Lo chazarnu b'tshuva. The Mashiach has to come be'ito. Not because we brought it out of goodness. He has to come on his set time. So why is he going to bring it? Because we deserve it? We don't deserve it. Imagine the Jews are Rashayim right now. All of them are not keeping Torah, mitzvot, maasim tovim. Let's say on a ratio out of 100% of Jews, we have 90% that are not keeping. There's only 10%. What is Hashem going to do? He has to bring the Mashiach not because the Jews deserve it, leman shemo, for his name's sake. But the beauty of this pasuk is be'ahava. He says he's going to bring the Mashiach for his name's sake, even though that we don't deserve it. You know why? Again, not that long beard and the finger pointing down. You are a bad boy. You didn't pay attention. You didn't keep the Torah. He's going to bring the Mashiach be'ahava. I love you, my son. It's okay. I brought the Mashiach. Hamevi go'el livnei benehem leman shemo, for his name's sake, and with love. Hashem is going to bring Mashiach with love. It's not something that you have to be scared of. You just have to be ready for it. And how do you prepare yourself for it? If your ears are listening to this class right now, it's because God says you need to be part of this club. You need to hear this class so you can wake up. Because you could easily be right now at home watching the Kardashians. You could easily be at home right now watching a basketball game. But Hashem says, no, you're the special bunch. You're the ones I want to save. You're the ones that I want to turn on to the Geula. Listen to it. Listen to it. Because later on when you go up to the Shemaim, you're going to say, I didn't know. Oh, really? What about that Wednesday night at the Lighthouse? Why didn't you Google yourself? You can't have those excuses. Not saying this is a wake-up call, but it's a wake-up call. See this division of Judaism that we have nowadays: Orthodox, conservative, Reform. In reality, one can say it's artificial. What is all this division for? Don't get me wrong. Orthodox is Orthodox. If you're there, stay there. That's the right place. But in the time right before the Geulah, what's the time for? The time has come to love every Jew. Inside every single one of us is a spark of God that came from the bottom of His heavenly throne. From His Kisei HaKavod. If we strip away this body, this bag of bones and skin, we all have this little glowing spark. Imagine it. And it's the same spark. We all got it from the same place. That's how you got to see every Jew. Whether they're keeping or not keeping, that's between them and God. We're not the sheriffs of this world. We didn't come here to tell him, oh, you know what? You're not wearing a kippah, I can't talk to you. You don't keep kosher, don't come to my house. Hey, you can't. We're in the time that there's no time for division. There's only time for achdut, for unity. It's our secret. You know, there was a time when David HaMelech went to war and a lot of casualties, a lot of people died. And there was a different time, around the same time, a different king. A king that promoted Avodah Zarah. Yet when he went to war, he never had one casualty. So the rabbis tell us, how is it possible? David HaMelech, Melech Israel, one of the holiest men to ever live, he goes to war, people die. You have this evil king that promotes Avodah Zarah. Now one person dies in war. What's the difference? What's the difference? They said that king had troops and had a nation that was unified. They had unity. David HaMelech didn't have that. They were of their Avodah Zarah, but they had unity. They got to live. This is not the time to pick camps. Chabad, Breslev, Sephardic, Ashkenaz, dark skin, light skin. This is the time of unity. This is the time to love every Jew. This is the time to activate the heart. This is the time to start getting connected to Am Yisrael. It's our only chance. It's our only chance. You know, one time they came to Hillel and they told him, teach me the Torah on one leg. One goy came to him and says, teach me this whole book that you're learning on one leg. What is this whole Torah about? What did he say? He says, love your neighbor as you do yourself. Or another way to say it, don't do unto others as you don't want to be done unto you. Imagine, if I want to give you one catchphrase, what is the Torah? What's the first thing we say in our prayer when we start to pray? Before we even open up, before we say bracha, first thing, right before we start tefillah, tell me, I'm about to say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm about to pray. I'm about to get started. What's my opening line to praising God? First thing God wants you to, before you talk to me, before you get on a super high level, first, this is what this whole thing is about. If you're not living it, you're off. You're off track. You're off kilt. If you don't walk into the supermarket and you see another Jew and you don't care for them, that they drop something, you don't pick it up and you want to help them out, or they're stuck at the register and you're going to take $10 and help them out. If you don't see that, if you don't have that heart, you're off. You're off. If you're sitting next to somebody and you're still finding some sort of hatred towards somebody, you're off. The whole thing hinges on it. It's also the secret of our generation. You know, a lot of people here, I'm sure all of you came here today to get what? To get closer to God. To get closer to God. You want to learn Torah. How do I learn Torah? Hopefully this class is going to make me understand the Creator. Well, the Creator's secret is love and unity. I'll prove it to you. I know I sound like a hippie. You know, love, unity, peace. And these are all concepts that maybe in the 60s were very, would have a bigger stage. But believe it or not, that's what it's all about. It's what we need at the moment. So for example, love. How do you say love in Hebrew?
Ahava.
Ahava. So Gematria is the numerical value of the Hebrew alphabet, of the Hebrew letters. Okay? So we'll do a quick Gematria. Ahava, Aleph is 1, Hey is 5, Bet is 2, Hey is 5, altogether 13. Unity, when you become all unified, you become Echad. Right? What's the Gematria of Echad? Aleph is 1, Chet, very good, is 8, Dalet is 4, altogether 13. Love is 13. Echad is 13, and you should know, any time that it has a similar numerical value, there's a correlation between the two. There's a big connection. Love and unity, love and achdut and echad have the same numerical value. That means that they have the same importance, they have a connection. But let's take it one step further. Let's just say, if we take ahava, that's 13, and echad is 13. What's 13 and 13? 26. Now you discovered God. Now you discovered God. God is hiding behind ahava and achdut. Even the goyim,
God's name is 26.
That's right. Yud Kei Vav Kei. God's name of Chesed is Yud Kei Vav Kei. God's name of Din is Adonut. So Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud, Hey, and Vav and Hey is 26. That's the secret over here. I'll show you that even the reggae singers, they're singing about it and they don't know. There's a famous song, this you can see before my tshuva. One love, one love, one love. You know that reggae song? What are they singing? They don't even know. They're singing about Hashem. They're singing about Hashem. I'll give you some famous quotes before we conclude. A famous quote from David HaMelech from the 133rd chapter of Tehillim. He says, Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. He says, behold how good and how pleasant it is for the brethren to dwell together in unity. David HaMelech knew the secret. You know who he's talking about over here, by the way? Who are the two brothers that live in unity? It's Moshe and Aharon. If you read the 133rd parak, maybe one day I'll learn it with you guys. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, a famous rabbi, says, I don't need you to agree with me. I need you to care about me. That's a great quote. I don't need you to agree with me. Jews, we said, we have so many opinions. Don't agree with me. Agree to disagree. I hope my wife doesn't hear me. That's her line. Agree to disagree. But I agree. You have to agree to disagree sometime. I hope so. There's like a 56th minute. She's probably sleeping. But I agree. He says you have to agree to disagree. It's okay. You have different opinions. Accept each other for what it is. But you need to care about me. We have to care for other Jews. That's like, we're not doing that. We're not living that. Who do we care for? Even for our own family, we've become like crazy. Almost people don't even care for their own families. Look what the former Tzahal chief of staff, the IDF chief of staff, Benny Gantz, said. This is a guy that saw wars. This is a guy has been with soldiers. This is a guy that's been there and has seen the craziest attacks on Jewish life, and he's seen what it's like for a Jewish soldier to be in Israel. He says, I truly believe that the security of our future as a people and as a country relies on the strength we possess when we are united. After 20, 30 years of service, he says, I got one liner for you. And you should know, regardless of where your journey is right now, you're not alone. Jews are never alone. As a matter of fact, even if you open up the Siddur, everything is in plural. Barechenu, Refaenu, Hoshienu, everything's in plural. There's no such thing as Barecheni, Refaeni. We don't pray for ourselves. We pray for each other. Maybe the reason why you're healthy right now is because a rabbi in Israel is praying for your health. Maybe the reason why you're right now successful in your business because another Jew in Hong Kong is praying for you right now. Maybe the fact that other Jews care about other Jews and are praying for them is why we're successful right now. You're never alone. You want to know how you're never alone? I dare you to travel as a Jew. Have you ever traveled as a Jew? The most amazing experience ever. To just go to a country where you don't know anybody and you need to go to shul. Or you need to get some kosher food. And the adventure begins. And Hashem starts to put you together with this guy that you met at the store and the guy from the shul. And all of a sudden you're sleeping over somebody's house. And how am I sitting right now having a 7-course meal in the middle of Johannesburg, South Africa, and having lifelong friends? How? I was just in a layover. You're never alone. I'll never forget. I was in Atlanta for a business trip. And I go to a restaurant, and I had to stay for the weekend. And my wife is telling me, "What are you going to do for Shabbat? What about shul? What about the food?" My wife is from Moroccan descent. Where's the food? The food. Should I ship you something? I tell her, okay, listen. I don't know. Talking to her, and I'm eating my soup, and all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder in the restaurant. Are you Yemenite? The lady asked me. I said, no, I'm not Yemenite. Oh, you look like my friend from Israel who's Yemenite. Like, no. Do you know? And she gives me his name. No, I don't know your Yemenite friend from Israel. And she gives me the name. I hang up with my wife and I start talking to them. Beautiful couple from Atlanta. They were there having dinner with their kids. And wouldn't you know it, I did Shabbat by them. And I did Shabbat by them for 3 weeks. And I came back for that year maybe 2 or 3 times to Atlanta. Stayed by them every single time. We became good friends. Got to know an amazing community in Atlanta. You should all visit that community in Atlanta. Amazing community in Atlanta. And I said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shtabach Shemo La'ad. You wanted me to be in shul. You wanted me to eat kosher food. You want me to meet these people. You're never alone. Achdut. That a person sees me in a restaurant and says, you don't have a place to be on Shabbat. Come to me. That's Achdut. You should see how that Atlanta community welcomed the Floridian community during the time of the hurricane. That was a true example of unity. Work on that stone heart. Turn it into a heart of flesh. You know what Breslev stands for? You know Breslev that they're teaching next door? You know what Breslev stands for? Basar Lev. A heart of flesh. The whole study of Breslev is for the heart to soften up to be a heart of flesh, not a heart of stone. That's the whole teaching of Breslev. Basar Lev. And activate the unity in your heart, in your home, in your community, wherever you are, in the nation of Israel. And it starts with chesed, for the woman with tzniut. You have to have ahavat chinam. You have to have ahavat am Yisrael, to love every Jew. Doesn't matter what they look like. Doesn't matter it doesn't matter. Just know that there's God inside of them. Love that spark that's inside of them. Which is, by the way, the Chabad. What's Chabad? They don't see the shell. They see the spark. It's amazing. It's amazing. They don't see the shell. Come as you are. What do they want? They want the spark. And then they fan it until it becomes like into something, a huge flame. We have to have mercy on all God's children. We're all God's children. We're actually all brothers and sisters right here. Just different strands, different tree of life that led us in two different branches. But we're all brothers and sisters. You have to love everyone. And regardless of their religious level. I'm an Orthodox Jew. You think that there's a guy that doesn't keep Shabbat, that doesn't keep kosher, he can't come into my house? You think I'm not going to go and hang out with him? You think I won't talk to him? You think I'm not going to love him for who he is? Of course I am. You know why? I was that 10 years ago. And how about that guy that's that right like that right now? You think I don't want him to bring over? Come. Let me show you the light. You can't leave him behind. You can't say, I made it. I'm behind the rope. What about everybody else? They call us a dor anus. You know what's a dor anus? A captive generation. We're like a helpless child. We're like a helpless child that needs help all the time. We're not spiritually strong. And for those that are spiritually strong, Baruch Hashem, we need to rely on them to help us to come back. But you have to draw from them. You have to find your spirituality. We are the people of the book, not of the TV and not of the internet and not of Hollywood. Our secret is in the Torah. And you'd be surprised if you discover it, really. If you turn it from a book of just paper and pages into a heart-pumping lev of a book, you won't believe it. All the success is here. All the marriages, all the children, all the parnasah, all the health, it's all in here. Achdut is the secret of the Jewish people. And we need it today more than ever. I'm not asking you to fix the world. I'm asking you to fix yourself. That's all you need to do. And the way you fix yourself is you work on your midot. And if you got to the point where you're all right and you're in a good place, look to your left and look to your right and help out another Jew. Help out another Jew. Help out a Gentile. Do Kiddush Hashem. Be a good person to everybody. I'm not here preaching division. Be a prime example of what a Torah Jew is. We're all about inclusion, not exclusion. And Be'ezat Hashem, you feel better. You feel more connected. You feel more fulfilled. And Be'ezat Hashem, we will merit to be again Am Echad, Belev Echad. The success of the Jewish nation hinges on it. Hashem varech otchem v'sameach otchem. Shabbat shalom u'varach.